This is Teaching with GIS in Schools. And perhaps the name is a little off, since we are actually focusing mostly on materials, instructional materials, as well as professional development, with a few extra shiny things in here that are, I think, very cool, and many of you will find enjoyable. Along with me in this hour are several folks. Anita Palmer from GIS-ETC, as well as Charlie, of course. Kylie's with us, but she's going to be hiding in the Q&A most of this block. And then, of course, we have some special guests that are presenting in pre-recorded form, including Riley Peak, Laura Bowden, and Dr. Katie Hall from Esri UK. You will notice, as Charlie mentioned a couple of times during the last session, that the hub link is up on screen now for you. You may want to quickly jot it down or screenshot it. That is the link where you will find references to all the materials and discussion topics that we have here over the next hour. With that, during this block, we are actually tackling a number of topics today, including, as you can see on screen, geo inquiries, something called GeoProjects, the mapping hour, as well as the Living Atlas, the K-12 org, and something also that's maybe coming out of the blue for some of you, Microsoft badges for GIS. So this will be an interesting new topic for many of us. The new things going on over at Learn, as well as training. And then Charlie's going to wrap up the block telling us about the story map competition. So without further ado, if Anita is lurking out there, go ahead and jump on in here with me. There's her video. That is good. Geo Inquiries first launched about 6 years ago now, just ahead of our efforts with the Connect Ed program, a White House program that was really aimed at helping infuse technology and STEM into classrooms around the United States. In those 6 years, the Geo Inquiries program has grown quite dramatically, and we have about 185 activities right now in that core set of collections. And I've got Anita here today. Anita's been one of the principal authors. I think, Anita, you've contributed probably to half or more of those collections. Is that right?
Yeah, it was fun, and I got to be part of, I think, 6 collections.
Wonderful. So we've asked Anita here today to help kick us off and with Geo Inquiries, and bring us back around later on in the same discussion. Anita?
Cool. Thanks, Tom. I love Geo Inquiries, and I think that won't be a surprise to many of you. I love because they're short. They were written to be a 15-minute activity, and so that a teacher can teach what they already have to teach. They're very content heavy, and there are 10 collections, and there are of level 1, of which there are 15 activities. So that's 150 level 1 activities that require no login. And that's pretty exciting because the bar of loading software, et cetera, that has been taken out of this, and you just get going. You just rock and roll. They are standards based. They were aligned to national standards. Some of the states have jumped in and they've aligned some geo inquiries to their state standards, but look to those national standards. They will make a perfect connection to your state level standards. And they are time tested. Back in 2014, the Earth Science Collection was given birth, and the collection started rocking and rolling, very quickly after that. And I always hear people saying, oh yeah, those geo inquiries. I love those geo inquiries. So that feels really, really good. And they are, as I said before, they're very content driven, and they're cross-curricular. As you see in this image, there's American Lit, Earth Science, Enviro, Government, Human Geography, World History, US History, Upper Elementary, and Mathematics. I think that the Ed team got all the curriculum covered, and they really are cross-curricular. So they're really quite wonderful in that respect as well. And very quickly, they were originally created so that the teacher only needed a one computer classroom with a projection device. But today, life is different, but teachers also immediately saw use in these to flip their classrooms. They assigned them to their students. Students did them on their own time, and they came to classroom prepared. So we'll talk a little bit more about level 2 activities in the future, but do remember those need a login. Pass it on to you, Tom.
Thanks, Anita. So I want to talk with you briefly about these level 1 activities. As Anita mentioned, these have actually been around the longest, and this activity that you have on screen is actually from that first collection, the Earth Science collection. What I'd like to do is run you briefly through the anatomy of what this teacher PDF looks like, so that it provides a little context to support the interactive map activity. So it is a 2-page PDF. Each PDF includes learning outcomes, as well as the standards link that Anita mentioned. In this case, of course, since it's Earth Science, it's tied to the Next Gen Science standards. On the left side, the blue bar, about a third of the way down the page, actually has a URL in it that is the interactive map. All a teacher has to do is click that map and it will launch and play. And that works on a Macintosh, a PC, an iOS device, tablet, or phone, all equally well. As we scroll down the page or look down the page, you'll notice there are actually 5 sections, instructional sections. In our science-based content, we use the 5E instructional model. In the social studies content, we use the geographic inquiry model. Both are 5-step inquiry models that help students guide or teachers guide questioning around that interactive map content. And I think, as Anita noted, these activities you'll find are really content focused. They're not designed to necessarily help a student become a GIS professional, but they're designed to help educators teach the content they're already tasked with teaching much better. As you look on page 2, you'll notice there are 2 technical tooltips. And then beneath that, there's some extension ideas. And then following that, you'll see some textbook linkages. And geo inquiries, as many of you know, are licensed under Creative Commons for easy modification and reuse in your classroom in any way that you prefer. With that, I'm going to flip us into our first video, and this is going to be a very brief discussion of how the map analysis looks in the Earth Science activity. So once we launch that link, we're going to pop into our interactive map for this activity. Now, with level 1 activities, the goal of these generally is to help students better see and articulate patterns within phenomena. So you saw earlier that we're using a 5E activity, and in stage 1 of this activity, all we're really doing is asking students to identify global patterns. What kind of patterns do you see on this map as it loads? When we move into the second stage of the activity, we can begin to look at things like relative motion. So we can turn on, for example, in our left column, plate movement, and we can begin to ask which way are plates moving, and perhaps why are they moving in that direction. With that information, of course, into step 3 or stage 3 of this inquiry, we can begin to investigate the types of plate boundaries. So as we get further into this activity, of course, we want to turn on global quakes, but what we want to do is we investigate the type of plate, or plate boundary rather. We also want to know the depth of the particular earthquake. So in this activity, in addition to using measurements and bookmarks, we're actually going to change the style or the cartography of the points on our map. To wrap this activity up, students will take a look at earthquakes in the Caribbean and try to make some statements about what type of plate boundary types are visible in the Caribbean. So once we launch that, So that's an example of a level 1 activity, the teacher PDF document, as well as an example of what some of the visual analysis or the pattern seeking that level 1 activities drive at, what those might look like. Anita, would you like to talk with us a little bit about what level 2 activities look like?
Sure. Thanks, Tom. Level 2 activities, we've been developing those over the last 3 or 4 years. There are not level 2 activities for every collection. However, we do have them for 6 of the collections. Is that right, Tom? Yeah, cool. So what are they? They are activities that use the ArcGIS online analysis tools. And it makes those tools accessible and more understandable for students to use and to really ramp up the level of analysis on the GeoInquiries. You do need an ArcGIS online organization account, but as you know, those are free to K-12 schools globally. So there really is no issue there or no barrier. And you do remember that you do need to have one person in your organization account that has publisher permissions to use these. And if you have questions on that, reach out to the crew and they can help answer questions on that. And there that is. Yes, 6 of the 10 activities, and they are still free, but you do need to log in. Now, I do want you to look at this graphic very quickly. Notice the little level 2 banners. So there's the purple government, the blue earth, so when you look up at your activities, you'll know very quickly that these are the activities that you need to log in, and that's ready for you to use. If you look at these, you'll see the only other thing that is different besides that little banner is that there is a level 2 GeoInquiry requirement. It tells how many credits you'll be using, because you always want to have your students just be aware of that. And then one of the sections, many times it's the acquire section, you're going to see that it explains exactly how to use that particular analysis tool, and you'll see these little blue circles. We will have a demonstration here that will more clearly explain that. But Tom, did you want to say anything else about the level 2s?
Nope, let's go ahead and roll this.
Cool. The goal of this level 2 Dust Bowl activity is within these 7 states. We would like to analyze the change in farm acres between 1930 and 1940 and any population shifts in that same period of time. As you can see right now, we're looking at percent of counties and farms in 1930. So let's click on the analysis button, summarize data, and summarize within. We'll accept the default polygon and choose USA state boundaries to summarize data within, and percent of counties and farms 1930 as the layer to summarize. For our purposes, we're going to choose acres, and our first 2 variables we want to include are population 1930 and some, population 1940 and some. The second 2 variables we want to compare are farm acres 30 and some, and farm acres 40 and some. We, of course, need to give it a name, and I can just put my initials at the end. Use the current map extent, and always show the credits so that you can know what you're using. This is well under 1 credit. That's fully acceptable, and normally I would click on Run Analysis. But in the Best Julia Childs methodology, I have created this ahead of time. And we can turn off percent of counties and farms, and we see we have our 7 states. Let's look at the table and note that we do have 7 states here. We can now look at the sum of the population in 1930, compare that to 1940, Did it go up or down? And then look at the sum in farm acres for 1930 to 1940. And there's some rich exploration that can be done from there. I know you're really going to enjoy this tool, so give it a go.
That's great, Anita. Go ahead and move forward. There we go. So there's a couple added extras with GeoInquiries we want you to be aware of. One is that about a year ago, we began adding student handouts, and we've done that really based on teacher demand. The student handouts are now available without answers in Google Docs format. Of course, once they're in Google Docs, you can easily save them down as Word or PDF or any popular format you prefer. Links to that student handouts will be inside the hub URLs. And additionally, for those of you that are finding that you have questions or ideas, pop over to the GeoNet community space, and you'll find a GeoInquiries space there with like-minded folks that you can chat with. Anita?
So some states over the last several years decided that they wanted some state level GeoInquiries. I happened to be in Texas at the time, so I was able to participate in an initiative in Texas. And we created 5 Texas GeoInquiries. They're Texas history. And I know that Minnesota, Virginia, Michigan, West Virginia, and other states have also created some state GeoInquiries. So, you know, run your questions up the flagpole and reach out to perhaps Tom, and I know he can direct you to state folks if you want to go take a look at those state GeoInquiries. And finally, Tom created this great story map called Getting to Know GeoInquiries, and everything you need to know as far as links, etc., are in that story map. But refer back to the blog, excuse me, not the blog, the hub, so that you can get this story map link will be in there along with many, many other resources. But know that everything, he's got this all wrapped up in this story map, and it's really very useful. That's all I have, Tom.
Thanks, Anita. If you have questions, feel free to put them into that Q&A, and I think my colleagues and perhaps Anita as well will keep an eye on that over the remainder of the period today. Thanks for your help, Anita.
You got it. Thanks.
So we want to take a moment and also tell you about a fledgling project that we have running called GeoProjects. And this is really in its infancy. It's kind of where GeoInquiries was 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And the idea here is that we are creating short tutorials, 2-page, 3-page tutorials, helping teachers set up project-based learning experiences using our data collection tools like Survey 123, like Collector, Quick Capture, and even Dashboard. So if you are either in the project-based mode or moving toward it, feel free to check in over there. Again, we're adding to it regularly, and that area will be growing. So there's some stuff there right now, but it's more something to tuck in the back of your mind for the future. Link is also available on the hub page. One other response that we had to the pandemic this spring, and by we, I mean the Esri K-12 team particularly, is the creation of something called the Mapping Hour. The Mapping Hour is really a collection of 21-hour video episodes. And these video episodes are really designed to serve from beginners to advanced users, educators, whether they be formal classroom teachers or the parent who is all of a sudden tasked with either educating or partially educating a child at home. The videos can be watched with children, but they are really firstly intended for the adults that are helping the kids learn how to use this technology. So along with the 20 hours of video instruction, you can get a Mapping Hour ArcGIS Online account, which includes access to the software that's described during the Mapping Hour series. And that really does focus on ArcGIS Online quite heavily, but it touches on Survey 123. It touches on story maps as well as collector and community analyst. So be sure and check those links out on the Hub site if you've not already done so. And I might add, one of the interesting things about the mapping hour is if you really just want to learn about Survey 123, you can skip the previous 16 episodes, pop right in at Survey 123, and I think there are 2 episodes on it. The last one talks about Survey 123 and offline modes with Kylie. It's very cool, just as a little plug. At this point, I'm hoping Charlie's floating in the ether. There he is, and his mic is live, because I'm hoping Charlie's going to talk with us a little bit about Living Atlas content and the K-12 organization.
You bet. But before you leave this, just to say, you know, I get a number of emails from people who have discovered the mapping hour and found, wow, this really answered questions for me. So it's a great resource that people have said, I found from the education point of view just what I was looking for. So that's neat. All right, so the Living Atlas, Tom, if you'll go ahead there, one frame. The Living Atlas is a space that you saw presented in the Esri Canada presentation about what was happening. Down at the bottom of this page, you can see that they're just starting to get into the apps, and you can see right below the white bar at the top, there's home, browse, and apps, and blog. Those are the places to go in and explore. This is the zone of curated content. This is the place to find all of the best stuff that you might be thinking about. Boy, has somebody done a fire-based app or a hurricane-based app or something about the coronavirus, or thinking about population. Hey, we're coming up toward an election. There are all kinds of apps that are pre-built in here, and they're designed for you to come in and explore. And what's great is that students feed on these things. You can watch students go to town working with these, and it's tremendous. And all of the data that you're seeing in here is, or most of the data anyway, is accessible right as you're just working inside your ArcGIS online map viewer. And Tom, if you'll jump to the next one. And so here I am inside my map viewer. I've logged in, and you can see these red colors around here. What do they mean? Well, take a look up in the top right corner. Number 1, there you see I've signed in. And when I'm signed in, that means number 2, over on the left-hand side, I can say, hey, I want to add data. And one of the choices when you're signed in is, say, Living Atlas. Go search inside the Living Atlas. That's going straight. It's like I'm going right into the grocery store, right to the section that I really want. That's where everything is. And number 3, you could say, hey, I just want to type in population, or I want to type in something telephones. And you can do that. But what I like to do is number 4, hit that rightmost, right now, it's the rightmost blue box right next to the number 4, because I've opened up the filter window. Normally, when you open it up in there, that filter window isn't on. But if I click the little, that rightmost that is now blue because I've opened it up, it opens up this filter window, and you can say, hey, number 5, do I want to focus this only on the portion of the map that I'm looking at right now? And that's been huge for just saying, you know, zoom into this zone. That's what I'm looking for. What I end up doing most often, though, is going down into the categories, and number 6, I'll pick, you know, into the base maps or in the boundaries, or frequently I'm in the people zone, looking into the population section. And here, because I've gone down and said, hey, I want to focus inside the United States, inside population. I got a whole bunch of different layers. I got 573 layers to choose from in here. And so you can choose the region, the category that you're looking at. You can focus in on your, this is fabulous. This is so important for when you want to be able to do GIS successfully with your students. Get them accustomed to working and jumping right in, going after where the meaty content is. It's been curated, it's been prepared, there's good metadata about it. This is the place to get started working with it. And if you're just not sure which you should be looking for, you can go back to the homepage where we were before and just click on browse, and you see all the kinds of stuff that you can choose from. Okay, next, also, there's another place that is really a great place to be looking at, and that is the K-12 organization. And you'll see down at the bottom, there's a link to the mapping hour and the GIS club kit, but this is a zone that has, in these 4 big buttons right in front, instruction docs and things for helping educators and community connections and the video bonanza. This is a place where if you're trying to get people to understand what GIS is about, so one of the best ways is just getting some videos. And sometimes it's looking at what it is that students have been doing. And so Tom, next frame gives us what students have been doing. So I've followed from the K-12 org to the youth video links, and I've gone right here to videos of the youth who have been up on stage, or one of the things that people get most excited about at normal user conferences is kids who are up on stage, kids who are using the software. You can see here from 2019, the students from Northern Ireland. This is a fabulous presentation. If you haven't seen this one, go into the K-12 org, and it's just like any other org. It's K-12, it's the little prefix .maps.arcgis.com, and follow your nose into the video section. There are lots of good videos in there. There's 5, 6, 7, and 8 from the home page that talk through careers and apps and maps and elementary stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there for people to work with without even logging in. This is another zone that doesn't require login, so there's a lot of content that is in place for people to use with no login required. All right, Tom, back to you.
Thanks, Charlie. What a smorgasbord of stuff, right? We're going to move into a completely different topical area now with our friends from Esri UK as they describe to us their work with Microsoft around badging.
The Microsoft Educator Center badges are sequenced pathways for teachers and students to follow, guided by pedagogy. Completing a course also awards you an Educator Center badge, which can be added to your digital CV. There are 2 courses available. Getting started with maps and data in ArcGIS introduces GIS as a geography visualizer, a way to learn more about the planet and its people from the front of class or on a student's own computer or mobile device. Learn how to navigate around different kinds of maps and use the measure tool to develop student understanding of place and scale. Add your own data to maps to create bespoke resources for your students, and make use of millions of free data layers provided by other educators and professional GIS users shared inside ArcGIS Online. Learn how to access the Living Atlas for reliable and high-quality secondary data. Getting started with 3D maps in ArcGIS lets you explore the world in 3D. Create animated virtual field trips, add layers to 3D maps, and learn how to save and share your creations. In these uncertain times, the badges allow students to follow a learn path for ArcGIS either at home or in the classroom, and to be recognised for their efforts. They provide a solid platform from which to undertake more advanced work in ArcGIS Online for independent projects. If you're interested in completing these badges, then please visit the Microsoft Educator Center and start your journey today.
There's some really interesting possibilities with this program. I hope you all will check it out. Next, we have Riley Peak talking about some of the new content being developed and programs being developed over at Learn ArcGIS. So Riley's also sharing their work today in a video.
Hi there, my name is Riley Peak and I'm the team lead for Learn ArcGIS. I'm so excited to be introducing many of you, I'm sure, to learn ArcGIS for the first time, and also to be showing some of you who have been to the site before our new features and new content, as well as some brand new experiences for you to discover what it is that you need to learn how to use GIS. So for those of you who have not been to learn ArcGIS, our primary goals are really to provide a first best experience for our user using real world scenarios. So we work with authors and subject matter experts outside of the company, people who are doing the work on the ground and sharing the most authentic and meaningful problem-solving scenarios in our industry today. We want to utilize those in different ways and different levels. So we want to also have support for our new users in building skills and confidence, short lessons, focused concepts and tools in order to build a foundation, as well as providing opportunities for our professional or academic users to experiment with new products, tools, and workflows that they may not have tried out yet. Ultimately, what we believe in here at Learn ArcGIS is that people learn by doing. So we want you to get your hands on the software that you're interested in, and we want you to solve a problem that demonstrates why you should adopt that tool or that workflow or that product. If you don't have software, or you are an existing user and you'd like to try one of the newest tools or products that we have available, try signing up for a Learn ArcGIS organizational membership. Everybody in the entire world can qualify for a 60-day membership in Learn ArcGIS, or if you are a student or educator, starting on August 31st, we're launching a program for a 1-year student account. And for those professional workers affected by COVID-19, furloughed workers or laid off workers, we do allow sign up for the software through to December 31st. When you're in the Learn ArcGIS lesson gallery, there are over 400 pieces of content for you to choose from. So many people ask, where do I begin? You can use either the search bar to type in a topic or a tool that you'd like to try, or filter by one of the 7 options on the left. So search by capability, by one of the many different products that we have lessons for. You can search by industry. We also have many different types or formats of lessons on the site. So some of our activities come as nice blog articles, or maybe as a video or an instructional story map. And then we also create collections of those materials by theme or product. Search by region or by role. So if you're a brand new user, maybe you'd like to try ArcGIS online, maybe one of the first lessons that you'll try is this 20-minute exercise on mapping a historical cholera outbreak. In this lesson, you're going to first use a heat map, symbology, and pop-ups to explore data from the cholera outbreak in London. And then you build a story map from the map that you create. In this lesson, we start out with the original version of Jon Snow's map. We overlay it with point data that represents the number of deaths at each address. And then we will symbolize this layer by deaths. And we're going to use a heat map to demonstrate concentrations of death. Now that we have an idea of where the higher concentrations of illness are occurring, we also add then on top of it the location of the water pumps, which of course led Jon Snow to his conclusion that the pump at Broadwick Street was the source of the problem. Once you've saved your web map, we'll walk you through the steps of creating a story map to include a title, a description, and an embedded interactive web map that you can share with colleagues, students, or teachers. One of the more exciting new announcements that we have this year is a brand new experience for Learn ArcGIS. To get to the beta site, click on the Learn ArcGIS beta button here on the homepage. The purpose of the new Learn ArcGIS experience is to help you find what you need quickly and to choose an experience that is catered just for you. So whether you're a new user, a GIS professional, a higher education student, a data scientist, a K through 12 educator, or a higher education professor, we have materials that have been curated specific to you. So for example, if you're a professor at a higher education institution and you're looking for new lessons to bring into your classroom, here is a great place for you to start. In this persona page, you're going to find lessons pertaining to current events. You'll also find featured lessons, some of our most popular. If you're looking for Get Started resource, try one of these custom discovery paths for trying ArcGIS Pro, symbolizing data and publishing maps, adding and analyzing data in ArcGIS Pro, or resources for teaching with ArcGIS Pro. We also have specialized paths on teaching ArcGIS notebooks, machine learning, managing data, crime analysis, amongst other topics. If you're a K through 12 educator, we also have a brand new experience just for you. At the site, you'll find motivational videos and testimonials from some of our favorite teachers and advocates, powerful teaching tools that can be brought immediately into the classroom with just the click of a button. This pathway for educators seeking to just learn what ArcGIS Online is and the kinds of things that you can do with it is freely accessible and requires no login. One lesson I'd like to show you, for example, is how easy it is to add a spreadsheet of data to a map in ArcGIS Online. In this lesson, adding spreadsheet data to a map in ArcGIS Online, you'll watch a 2-minute video. And then on your own, download earthquake data, which can be just dragged and dropped into the map viewer. You'll notice I didn't actually sign into anything just yet. I'm going to change my symbols to show magnitude. And then without even signing in, we can now explore the patterns of earthquakes over the last 30 days. Dig into other activities like this on 3D maps, data collection and Survey 123, and storytelling in ArcGIS story maps. You can even go to Microsoft and earn badges for the skills that you've learned. Teach with GIS also hosts materials that Esri and National Geographic have collaborated on together for education. We work with National Geographic explorers to build powerful stories and share interesting videos and tie those to GIS activities that can then be used in the classroom. In this story map, featuring Paul Salopek, this activity, called Following in Humanity's Footsteps, allows us to join journalist and National Geographic fellow Paul Salopek as he follows in our ancestors' footsteps. Paul's 10-year trek on foot follows the path of human migration and aims to tell local stories about our changing world. After watching a short video about Paul's journey, we can jump into some hands-on exercises. So every 100 miles, Paul stops and takes stock of his location. This includes a GPS check-in, lots of photos of the sky and the ground and the area that he's in, but he also finds the closest person and asks them 3 questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? And where are you going? In this interactive map, we can click on each of these milestones, look at the pictures that he took, and look at the answers of the people who he spoke to. How would you respond to those questions? How did the people that he met answer them? And are your answers similar? Another fun activity is to take a look at the path that Paul walks along. Judging by this map, it doesn't look like there's a lot of elevation change. However, using this elevation change app, you can pick a segment of the path and actually see where Paul has had to climb or descend along his journey. One of our primary objectives of the new Teach with GIS experience is to start to connect teachers and build communities. In the Community Corner section, we're going to be featuring the work of students and educators from around the world and providing opportunities for them to get involved and to connect with their peers. When you're ready to do more and dig a little deeper, explore the Teach with GIS lesson library for 200 more pieces of content to use in your classroom. Search for activities by difficulty, by capability, by subject, by account requirement, or by where you live in the world. These are just a few of the most exciting new things that we have going on at learn.arcgis.com. Visit our site as well as teachwithgis.com to find all of these brand new resources that you can use in the classroom and to help your kids become solution seekers for the planet.
That was great. Thanks to Riley and Katie for producing those videos for us. I will mention one thing about the Learn content, and that is that Riley was kind enough to produce that video for the entirety of education, higher ed, and K-12 included. And on occasion when he's referring to students, particularly when it comes to the licensing, it's probably best practice for students under the age of 18 to use their school-based license to engage the Learn ArcGIS content. By doing that, the students and educators are able to preserve student private information at its full extent. So again, if you're working with kids under the age of 18, just use your school's account to access all the wonderful resources over at Learn. Next, we have Laura Bowden, who's going to share with you some of the latest information from Esri training. And Laura, too, has been kind enough to share it in a video.
Hello, I'm Laura Bowden. I work in Esri Training Services, where my role is to represent the needs and interests of educators in Esri's training curriculum. The training content development teams work closely with experts in software development and other teams around Esri. You can rest assured that with Esri training, you're learning the best workflows and using ArcGIS tools the way they're meant to be used. You can find Esri training on esri.com under Support and Services, or just go to esri.com/training. At Esri Training Services, we believe that learning is an essential strategy for success in today's world, especially for anyone who needs to use ArcGIS to support their work. And that includes educators like you. Esri Training mainly serves adult users of ArcGIS. We provide training for organizations for workforce development in support of their GIS goals. Also, we provide training to thousands of individuals, such as working professionals, college students, career changers, really anyone who wants to build their GIS skills for their job or to advance their career, or perhaps to tackle an important project. Typically, these people have ArcGIS software already in place. Our training catalog includes more than 700 learning resources to help you grow your knowledge and skill with ArcGIS. There are more than 200 self-paced web courses, as well as training seminars, MOOCs, and instructor-led courses, all created and taught by my colleagues in training services. In addition, the catalog has learning materials curated from around the company, including videos, instructional story maps, and selected Learn ArcGIS tutorials. Certain teacher resources like GeoInquiries lessons are also in the catalog. Gathering the best resources from around the company in the training catalog lets you search for them in one place and get a more complete picture of what's available. The website is public. Anyone can come and view the catalog or get information about Esri training. However, to open a piece of training, like to launch a web course or to watch a video, you must first sign in to Esri.com. We ask you to sign in so that you can personalize your learning experience. For example, you can save items of interest to a wish list. You can group and organize training to create your own custom learning plan. You can add an upcoming live training event to your personal schedule. As you complete training courses, you will earn certificates of completion and build a training history over time. An individual piece of e-learning can be listed in the catalog as free or requires maintenance. Maintenance refers to a qualifying ArcGIS product with a current maintenance subscription. An ArcGIS for Schools bundle qualifies. The next step is to have your user account connected to the product license. For K-12 educators, a common way to do this is to have your ArcGIS Online organizational account Esri enabled by the administrator. Then you can use your ArcGIS Online organization username and password to sign in to training also. For more information, go to the Training for Individuals page and click the button to learn about unlimited e-learning. That will help you get more information and details on how to connect your account. Are you ready to learn? I'd like to mention a few web course options specifically created for educators. Teaching with GIS, Introduction to Using ArcGIS in the Classroom, is a 4-hour web course especially for teachers who are getting started using ArcGIS Online. This course includes many practical ideas for GIS activities that you can use to engage students, as well as strategies for integrating GIS to support instruction. If you're ready to create your own map-based activity for students, you might enjoy the course Teaching with ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World. In this course, you'll discover a rich collection of maps and layers that are ready to use for instruction, and you'll explore a variety of ways to connect Living Atlas content to the subjects you teach. There's a set of 5 web courses designed for school-age students. They're grouped into a learning plan called Get to Know GIS for Secondary Students. These 5 courses are the only items in the training site that have the option to be taken anonymously to protect students' identity. Each short course provides a simple conceptual foundation and basic ArcGIS Online skills. Check them out. From what I hear, kids really enjoy doing them. And do download the Educator Guide PDF from the catalog page or the link within the course. A quick note about learning plans. You can think of a learning plan as a bucket. You don't have to do or use all the courses, but it's an easy way to organize them and locate them as a group. Plenty of other e-learning is available here that you might find helpful, depending on what you teach and where you are in your own ArcGIS journey. If you're strictly an ArcGIS Online teacher, filter the catalog for ArcGIS Online and see what comes up in the different topics or focus areas. Perhaps you'd be interested in this course on getting started with spatial analysis. Maybe you love using story maps. You might want to watch this training seminar about the new Story Maps Builder. Your school bundle includes a lot beyond ArcGIS Online. If you're a career tech ed teacher teaching with ArcGIS Pro, there are plenty of learning resources here for you. Are you passionate about drones? Check out the new learning plan, Drone Mapping Using ArcGIS. I invite you to visit Esri Training and browse the catalog. Take a course. Use what you find as a model for teaching your students a new GIS concept, a new term, or maybe a new workflow. Use an exercise as an inspiration for your own student activity. Try out the Get to Know GIS courses. See where you might use them. Remember, if you have an ArcGIS for School bundle or another qualifying product, you have unlimited access to Esri training.
That was great, Laura. Thanks for putting that together for us. So last but not least for this hour today is Charlie back with us talking about the online school competition. Charlie, are you there?
You betcha. And wow, what everybody has been commenting on is that there's just a lot of great stuff out there for people to learn what to do and how to do it. And what a lot of folks are saying is, gee, how do I get started on doing something? What's a good project that I could work on? And that's the idea behind the ArcGIS online competition for high school and middle school students. This is a competition that we run in the US to give students the chance to sink their teeth into something within the bounds of their state that they really are interested in exploring. And the whole idea of this is written up in a couple of different places, and the addresses, as you might imagine, are going to be in the hub zone. And there is a whole set of example projects that you can take a look at, because we've run the competition for 4 years and had hundreds of students each year contribute to it. And so there have been students that have won prizes about this. And here, as I scroll down in this general presentation, I see a map that says, ooh, I get to go look at all of the results from all of them. I've got it sitting here in my tab over here. So the whole idea is students in teams of 1 or 2 work on a research project that is something inside the bounds of their state. They submit it through the school. The school gets to submit their best 5 to the state. The state organizes all of them and takes a look at them, and they pull out the top 5 high school, grades 9 through 12, and top 5 middle school, grades 4 through 8, projects, and awards each of them $100 and sends to us, sends to Esri the results. And we collect them all. And in years past, we were able to bring somebody to the user conference, the best of the high school projects and the best of the middle school projects. But this year, that didn't get to work. And so that's one of the things that we sometimes have to cope with, is you got to keep your knees bent because things are going to change. But our hope is that we'll be able to bring somebody to the conference next year who was the winner for this the 2021 school year. So what does it look like when I'm looking at the results? So here we are. Here we've got the full results. And because we couldn't bring everybody in, we couldn't bring just one set in, we said, let's focus on what people did that was really great in this part, in this part, in this part of the presentation. So you're going to see high school and middle school winners all the way through here. And you can look through this and say, wow, I want to take a look at I want to take a look at the 2019 winners. And oh, there were the high school and middle school winners and their teachers. Oh yes, the teachers get to come as well. And then the 2018 and the 2017, there's a whole bunch of projects. And what is really exciting is you get to look at this and say, wow, students, if given the permission, can do some amazing projects. They jump into a lot of the learning experiences that you've just taken a look at, and they eat them up and they go out and they do amazing things. We want students to do that. And you'll be able to come in and take a look at all of these projects, and I hope that people will just say, I want my kids to be able to do that, because in the fall, the states are going to be able to start submitting their application. A U.S. state is either in or out. And so we got to have some leaders from the states jump in and say, we're going to do this. Esri provides funding to give them awards to go ahead and do this. So it's a great thing for the states, and it's a great thing for the students. All right, Tom, I think we're ready to go to the last little bit.
I think so. Looks like we've got, what, a minute or two left anyway. Are there any, Kylie, any big questions out there we should circle back to? And
I
if
think a
not,
lot of them are getting answered. There have been a lot of excitement about the geo inquiries, the mapping hour, the learn segment, and now the schools. It seems like whatever we're currently talking about, people think is the coolest thing ever. So that's kind of fun to see.
it's great to hear.